Everyone, before we get into it, I want to give a shout out to this book, The Crypto Factor by Paul Demarcoutu. And I am in this book. And it's just a compilation of interviews that they did with Andreas and McAfee and Roger Ver and Tone Vays and some prominent people in the cryptocurrency space. So it's organized in terms of being an interview, and then towards the end, they ask similar questions to everyone and then put the answers side by side. So that's an interesting way to compare different responses. And I believe they're putting out another book in the future as well, so worth checking out. That's on Amazon, The Crypto Factor. Hey there, crypto friends, checking in on our bounce attempts from last night. Hasn't been a whole lot of time since we last talked, but I figured we'd check in. We have XRP with uplisting news to Coinbase. We've got ONT joining the party now. For the past couple days, they've had a ton of strength. We'll check that one out. But it's all about the daily inside bar forming. So it looks like we're going to hold here. So obviously the bounce has gotten more follow through since we last tuned in. The hourly time frame just traded sideways. It waited for those exponential supports to catch up, or resistances to catch up. And rather than rejecting and dropping to lower lows, we were able to push through those levels. So we had a tightening hourly range, and here over the last 4 hours, some nice continuation. When we get over the hourly exponential resistance and break to higher highs on the bounce attempt, we know there's a lack of price resistance in this range because we dumped. And we look at the 4-hour time frame as we play the zoom out game, and we look at the 4-hour exponential resistances now being tested. So that's the next battleground for the bulls to try and progress through. Decent uptick in volume this 4-hour candlestick as we did finally get that follow through, and another higher low and higher high on the 4-hour would go a long way for keeping the possibility that the bulls can potentially maintain control of this daily time frame. So I would expect to see a little bit more bounce follow through and then a daily lower high to form on this bounce, and then we're going to have to pull back and hold the low and then change the daily trend. So we changed the 5-minute trend, then the 15-minute, then the hourly. Now we're watching the 4-hour trend. Then we're going to have to change the daily trend in order to shift this momentum. So short term, bulls in control of this bounce, watching the 15-minute uptrend, as that has been the uptrend to be watching since the bull break just recently occurred. Ethereum, I've been scaling out my entry. So I talked about my position. I believe my average was in the 136, 137 range at the time of the video, and have just been slowly scaling out. And we're not getting much follow through on this move up right now that Bitcoin is. We look at Bitcoin on the hourly time frame, and you can see we've cleared all levels on the initial bounce attempt, and we look at ETH on the same time frame, and that's not the case. 141.02 is a resistance level to be watching, and we've been right up against that one for a bit now. You can see we have not broken that top yet. Getting over the exponential resistances, but 141 needs a more clear bull break, and then the 4-hour time frame, exponential resistance on watch. So again, I've been scaling out. I scaled out a bit before bed last night. I scaled out again this morning, just slowly. You know, if I have, let's say I had 100, if I have 10 ETH, I'm selling, 2 ETH every order. If I have 100, I'm selling 10 or 20 every order. If I have 1,000, I'm selling 1 or 200 every order. That's the way that I scale out into strength. And I'm now down to about 20% of the position that I initially had. So almost back to all cash. And same thing on the daily. You're going to have to bounce, likely going to set a lower high, and then we'll need the higher low. All depends on how much bounce follow through we get from here. And if we do not see that 4-hour little higher low and higher high again that I just mentioned that the bulls need for confidence and continuation, if we do not get that 4-hour continuation move, this daily bounce is going to be pretty weak, and we're just going to look to tighten up into tomorrow. So Litecoin inside bar as well, hourly, same thing, bull break clearly over 45, and this was the kind of bull break that you can buy in terms of a quick flip. So a bull break of 45, and we went right up to 46.84. That's a 3% plus move on that break, and that's a nice, easy little day trade to at least capture 1% of that move if entering on the 45 bull break. So now we're just trading sideways, multiple inside bars, 15-minute equilibrium, very clear on Litecoin with our high, low, lower high, and here's the bulls trying to form a higher low compared to 45.75. Break this 15-minute inside bar bullish, and we'll continue up to 4-hour exponential resistance, which actually we've already hit. And if we break that 15-minute bearish, it's going to be a clear rejection from that 4-hour exponential resistance. XRP with the uplisting news, and we were just looking for a bearish entry, and it was clear 35 resistance, and also the daily inside bar still forming. So the uplisting news to Coinbase has way less emphasis in terms of strength than it used to. And that in combination of how clear these resistance levels were at 35 and 35, 178, we had people, we were talking in the chat room about this, and I said bears are hoping that we can push up to 35 here for this top fishing play. And then I was talking about watching the 2-minute trend, and the 2-minute trend breaking is a potential signal for an entry on that top fishing bear play. And now we've pulled back and lost the 5-minute uptrend, so significant pullback from that high. We came pretty close to that 3.5 level, and we ended up pulling back a few percent from the high at this point. So if entering bearish on that strength or loss of the 2-minute uptrend, the potential now is a break-even stop, and that's the most comfortable. And the ideal scenario for the bears would be a break-even stop and hope for further hourly consolidation, remaining inside the daily inside bar. Officially, we're going to be trading on Coinbase Pro probably in about 12 hours or so, and watching for the potential of a sell the news event when that does happen. But as of right now, 15-minute higher low and hourly higher low are still looking to form. Binance, daily time frame pulled back pretty hard today. We had a very high volume flush, but the bulls bought that dip. Still very clear hourly lower highs. Look at how clear they are. 1030, 1024, 1015, 1009, 1001, 996. It's just clear lower highs after lower highs. Again, the bulls did buy the dip on this clear 939 break. There was no follow through from the bears, but at this point we have to break the hourly lower highs to get this bounce going. And you can see it's just big upper wick after big upper wick on this 4-hour time frame. Very significant initial bounce, but now just fading back down. Hourly lower highs would be key to be watching if the bulls are going to get any kind of follow through on a bull bounce attempt. EOS clearly broke the low of yesterday, so a little bit different than other names for that reason. It did see the dip buying, but a last little flush down here, and then hourly trend change or over hourly exponential resistances, and we cleared the top of the bounce initially. 4-hour exponential resistance rejecting from that level right now. That's what all eyes are on. That's the most important time frame for me and the most clear time frame on all the names that we've looked at. 4-hour exponential resistance. NEO, daily inside bar as well, hourly. Hasn't gotten over the top of the bounce yet. 960 is that level. Trying for a little hourly bull flag here. And looking at the 4-hour exponential resistance, a little bit different setup. This is a nice equilibrium where we have our low of the dump, high of the bounce. Here's our higher low. And now we're looking back up at 961 if we round. If we can't break 961 and we begin to pull back again, we're going to look for a higher low compared to 878. ONT USDT, so a huge bull run over the past week plus. Inside bar forming tells us to watch the 4-hour tightening time frame. And I actually might like it better on the hourly here. We use the 4-hour. The most important level for me, we have the high, the low. It's all right there for resistance. 105 and 1043. So multiple tops at 105. And the higher low of support is 91. So 91 to 105 is the range. If we pull back here, the bulls have to hold 9-1 to stay in this pattern. Otherwise, daily consolidation is coming, and then we'll look for a daily higher low to form because things have been so bullish. So a tightening pattern on the 4-hour for ONT to be watching, and it too is a bit of a different setup than these other individual names. So bottom line, 4-hour time frame, nice bounce following through. Nice job for those who scaled in. No huge fast gains, but just a little solid win for these bulls. And again, I am scaling out into this strength as the 4-hour exponential resistances are being tested. We have to see a 4-hour higher low and continuation move to be looking for the daily time frame to try and give us a lower high on this bounce follow through. And if we get that, it'll set up the potential for an equilibrium pattern more than just a bear flag pattern. So if this is the top of the bounce and we reject from the 4-hour exponential resistance and don't see any follow through tomorrow, the potential of a bear flag will be there. So tonight, need that 4-hour higher low and higher high before the next time I see you. And I hope you have a good rest of your night. Do good things. Protect those trades. Use stop losses. And we'll see if these bulls can get some follow through. Volume finally picking up for the first time on this bounce.